This is Brian. It is now mid-June in Austin, Texas. It is getting hot, although not nearly as hot as it was last year. We haven't broken 100 yet, which is always a relief. You can see we've got some persimmon fruit, 4 in total, and they're looking pretty good. No grapes, unfortunately, this year. Never fruited. You can see the native grass that I planted is filled in pretty well. Still some patchy areas, but not bad. I've mowed it once. I let it get pretty long and seed out first, and then I mowed it, and I'll probably just let it grow for the rest of the summer. Hopefully it'll be established enough to survive. The peach, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we had one fruit that looked like it was going to survive, and then it finally fell, so no peaches this year either. We've been harvesting a number of dewberries. They're very delicious. Nothing to write home about in terms of volume, but we've probably had, I don't know, maybe a dozen dewberries this year. Enough to just to get a nice taste and look forward to future years. I'm going to need to do some trellising or something to hold it up for the future. Haven't figured out what I'm going to do for that yet. Blackberry, we got one blackberry, and it didn't look all that great, but we've got some good growth, so hopefully next year we'll get some good blackberries. I put in drip irrigation for the asparagus. It was just an extension of the system that's watering the berries, and so it's underneath all that mulch. They're looking pretty decent. And then here's the vegetable garden. There in the front is watermelon. No melons yet, but a good several flowers anyway, so hopefully it'll start putting out fruit. Next is the cucumber, which is flowering like crazy, but also no fruit so far. My squash, these are zucchini. I had several plants planted, and the only one that survived is the one you see there. These squash borers got them, and they were really nasty and killed the whole big plant. I had a big one that was looking good until the borers got it. And then there's some summer squash, and you can actually see a few. So it looks like we'll get a small harvest, but this plant is tiny. I'm not sure why it didn't grow any bigger. Back there are my tomatoes. I keep forgetting what they're called, but these are Brandywine heirloom tomatoes. And if you look closely, they're all over the place. And looking pretty big too, so no signs of ripening yet, but definitely excited. Looks like I'll need to start spraying some insecticidal soap. Looks like bugs are already trying to get at them. But yeah, so these are looking good. Can't wait to harvest some of these. And now to the aquaponics system. So I've made a small modification. So the tomato cages inside the aquaponic grow medium were not working. It was really a major pain to get the cage rooted in there, and even when it was, it didn't grip, so it would just fall over and stuff, and so I had to tie that cherry tomato in the back to the fence, or tie the cage to the fence to keep it from completely falling over. So because I didn't want to deal with that again, I went ahead and built this wooden cage for it, using about $10 worth of supplies. And basically the idea is that it'll fill the purpose of a tomato cage for the aquaponics. So that big plant in the back there, all of this is one big cherry tomato plant, and again, lots of fruit. And so far, most all green. We haven't had a harvest yet, but it's looking like right here I've got a few starting to color up, so that's encouraging. But anyway, the basic idea with this cage is that it's pretty modular. So these lateral beams are permanent, but these right here can be just lifted up. I have some nails pounded into the lateral beams, and so I can just fit these guys in different places to either form a bed like I'm doing here, so these can drape on it, or if I have some smaller plants, I can have them in here. I could do 3. Basically this allows me to have either 4 big plants in the 4 areas, all the way up to 6 slightly smaller plants if I got rid of this middle one, and then I just have these 4, and I've got the same system up on top. So that's the idea here. Really pleased with how this cherry tomato has been looking. It's been growing like crazy. Got a pepper downing here, which unfortunately is shaded now because that tomato's gotten so big. So that was unfortunate. Maybe I'll move these over so it's not shading it so much. I don't know. And then nothing's really changing in here. The auto feeders continue to work really well, actually. I haven't even had to change the battery yet. And the fish eat like crazy when it's time to eat. And they seem to be getting a little bit bigger too. So all in all, things are looking good out here. Some plants aren't going to give me much of a harvest, it's looking like, but really can't complain. I think we'll get a lot of tomatoes, and I'm excited about that. So anywho, that is the update.